Last year, United States imposed historic sanctions where almost everything coming out of Russia was banned. There was one commodity which was not banned, and that commodity was uranium. There are reports that American companies sent letters to Joe Biden urging him to not ban uranium supplies. Almost 50 to 60% of supply of uranium to United States comes from either Russia or its affiliated countries. Meanwhile, trains carrying uranium, enriched uranium, have started functioning from Russia to China over the last 6 months. Russia has confirmed that it is supplying highly enriched uranium to China for its 2 fast nuclear reactors. Officials in Washington are worried because it is alleged that China is planning to expand its nuclear warhead count to 1,500 to 2,000 in the next few years. And this highly enriched uranium coming from Russia will play a very important role in the same. In this video, we'll explore the dynamics of nuclear and uranium enrichment between the United States, Russia, and China. Uranium is a common metal in the world, but 85% of uranium production happens in just 6 countries. About 35% of United States uranium purchases comes from Kazakhstan, 15% comes from Russia, remaining 15% comes from Australia and 14% comes from Canada. 7% comes from Namibia and a small percentage comes from Nigeria. The remaining comes from within United States and few other countries. Essentially, almost 50% of United States uranium supply comes from Russia and its influenced Kazakhstan. And if we add the countries which are aspiring to join BRICS like Namibia and Nigeria, this percentage crosses around 60% mark. Almost 20% of United States electric supply comes from nuclear energy. Most of the nuclear plants operating in United States have components and parts created and manufactured in Russia. Just to give you a perspective, Europe and United States used to import more than $200 billion worth of oil before the war began. In comparison to that, they both together used to import just about $1 or $2 billion worth of uranium from Russia. So Russia does not need United States and Europe as buyers for uranium. United States and Europe need Russia for their uranium supply. Typical refueling in a nuclear plant usually happens between 18 to 24 months. That is a time frame United States has if Russia chooses to suddenly stop supply of uranium. United States needs to find an alternative for uranium supply. Uranium is available in solid form. It is then converted into a yellow cake, which then is converted into gas, and then it is enriched into an isotope called U-235. The concentration of uranium in this isotope in its raw form is around 1%. It is enriched anywhere between 3 to 5% so that it is accepted in nuclear reactors. These isotopes are then put into fuel rods, which are then inserted into reactors. The next generation nuclear reactors, which are also known as fast reactors, which are also called as HALEU, which means high assay low enriched uranium, they require 20% concentration of U-235. And this technology is specifically currently available only with Russia. Recently, Russia has confirmed that it is indeed supplying enriched uranium-235 to 2 fast reactors in Fujian province in China. In fast reactors, plutonium-239 can be created, which can be used in nuclear weapons. Recently, a train was tracked from Russia to China carrying uranium. This was among the many trains which have ferried over the last 6 months from Russia to China. Analysts in Washington are now worried that this uranium could be enriched to prepare new warheads for China's nuclear arsenal. Joe Biden in this year's budget has allocated specific budgets for uranium strategic reserves on the lines of petroleum strategic reserves. But it will take years and probably a decade before United States reaches a threshold where it can significantly ramp up its reserves of uranium. Because currently, United States is lagging behind in terms of uranium production. Environmental concerns and human rights and a lot of activists and tribes are protesting ramp up of uranium production within United States. Because uranium production is a dirty job. It requires lot of regulatory approvals in democratic countries like United States. But in countries like Russia and China, these things can happen much faster and in a more efficient way. This has given an edge to Russia and China in this domain. Extraction of uranium is a complicated process. Conversion and enrichment is an even highly complicated and specialized process, which is the reason very handful of countries on earth have this technology. Russia's state-owned Rosatom is a major player in this. So oil and gas are not the only cards that Russia has. Russia also has uranium as another card. The quantity of nuclear warheads of Russia and United States are almost the same. The difference is less than 10%. But the uranium enrichment capacity of United States is just around 5% of the total world's nuclear uranium enrichment capacity. It is unclear as to why Pentagon did not foresee this happening. Why did United States not wargame this scenario? Were they expecting that this scenario would never come? It is unclear as to why United States has not built its own capacity over the last 50 years to counter this. That means United States is completely dependent on outside partners for its nuclear warheads and nuclear power plants in future. Nuclear power generated electricity is expected to play a key role in battling climate change. And Western countries currently are dependent on Russia and its allied countries for the same. If we consider all these things, it is not surprising that uranium has not been sanctioned yet, even after more than 1 year of this war. Destroying Nord Stream was easy, but cutting down of uranium will be difficult. In a letter to National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, Republicans have sent a letter saying that this is a direct threat to United States. Chinese Foreign Ministry has hit back saying that this is a normal civilian nuclear cooperation within the framework of international obligations. Chinese officials claim that the Fujian reactors will be used to generate electricity and not for military purpose. Nuclear cooperation between Russia and China is disturbing for United States. It is expected that China is planning to expand its nuclear warheads to around 1,500 in the next couple of years. And this highly enriched uranium coming from Russia is a shot in the arm for Xi Jinping. Direct railway access between Russia and China is helping this trade. Western sanctions are motivating Russia to open up sharing its enriched uranium with China. During Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to Russia in March, Russia's Rosatom and China's Atomic Energy Authority signed a long-term agreement with each other. The only hope of United States is to somehow work with Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, who have around 50% of world's enriched uranium. But these two countries are firmly aligned with Russia. It's unclear how United States would try to work with these countries to influence the uranium supply. Regime changes in Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan would be difficult, if not impossible. Currently, majority of the uranium enriched on Earth is done by Russia. United States has just about 2 facilities for enrichment of uranium, and these facilities are also owned by European firms and not US firms. Between Russia and China, almost 60% of world's uranium enrichment capacity exists. Uranium production and waste disposal carry health risks of cancer, kidney disease, and neuropathic disease probability. Hence, a lot of countries are reluctant to carry on this process with their limited resources. This has ensured that only Russia, China, United States, and very handful countries in Europe have this technology. It also helps in nuclear proliferation if only few countries have this capacity.